maybe. Hey fam, welcome to another episode of Good, Bad, and Ugly about real estate. I got a great guest for you, a good friend of mine, Ms. Marcela Clark. How you doing, Marcela?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much, Jose, for having me on here. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm glad to have you. It's been a long time coming, and I'm excited to share you with the audience. Me and Marcela have known each other for a while now. We are in a couple communities together, so I'm not going to spoil her fun and sharing who she is and what she's doing. So, with no further ado, Marcela, can you share with everybody, who you are, how you decided to get into real estate, and what are you doing these days?
Absolutely. Happy to be here and happy to share a little bit more about this journey that I've had here the last 2 years. Actually started in real estate back in 2023. But there is such a huge backstory to that. So I'm going to kind of go back just a few years. Back to 2019, believe it or not, Jose, I was teaching full time. I have always been a teacher. That has been my main source of income for many, many years. And I taught kindergarten, first grade, mainly the primary ages, second grade, loved what I did. And I was working in some private Christian academies here in Phoenix. So I had like really the ideal job, right? I was surrounded by very supportive staff, administration, and teachers as well that were just amazing. However, in I guess it was summer of 2019, my life totally turned upside down. And that's really where my story began as, just feeling led and how God provided for me in real estate. So back then I was thriving until I wasn't. And
Right.
I had, my world turned upside down with a really huge health struggle, Jose, that most people don't know this part of my story. And mainly just because I don't always share it. And, but it really does, it does bring me to where I am today. And so it's almost impossible to ignore it, right? Like, how did I get where I am today? And it all started then. I got very sick, and we all know without our health, we really have nothing. And so my world, like I said, was turned upside down. I ended up going to see doctors at Mayo Clinic. It took several years for my healing to happen. It wasn't right away. But in all that to be said, I was like, I had to stop the job that I loved. I was working full time in a profession that I absolutely loved, which is working with kids. And so that totally stopped. And let's see, that year had started the fall of 2019. I was only able to make it through our holiday or Christmas break. And at that point, I was so weak and so sick. My principal was like, enough is enough. You go take care of yourself. I will get another teacher in your place. And so sadly, I had to let go of what I loved doing at the time, just to take care of myself, to take care of my health. And I knew it was the right thing to do. And in that time frame where I had so much freedom of time in terms of my healing, in terms of getting well, going to doctor's appointments, surgeries, multiple surgeries, it took about 2 years to really get to a place of full health. I was like, what am I going to do with my time? Because I was so used to being busy, Jose. I was so used to working full time that all of a sudden it was just about taking care of myself. And I wasn't used to that. And
Right.
that was a huge struggle for me to transition from working full time to just getting well. But here's where and I have a very strong faith, and so you're going to hear me mention this quite often.
Please
Um,
do.
yeah, God is definitely was in my story, and he was in my story in a really big way. And one of the things that he did was he started opening my eyes to the possibility of, real estate, because it would allow the flexibility that I needed in that season of time of healing to be able to go to Mayo whenever I needed to continue to have surgeries in those 2 years, to continue to go to appointments that I knew I had to get well. Right. And so real estate allowed me to do that. And little did I know that it would continue to be just a passion that I would grow into. Right. And a field of interest that I was like, I never really thought about real estate, but absolutely. And so that's how God led me there. And slowly and gradually, as I began to heal and get stronger, and I'm so grateful and praise God, I am fully 100% healed now for 6 years in a row. I have been cancer free.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
that is huge. That is above everything else probably we're talking about today, really. Because if without your health, again, you cannot be present. Um,
Right.
you cannot give to family, you cannot give to friends, you cannot give to your church, you cannot give to work. And so with all that being said, I am so grateful to be alive. I don't take one day for granted. And it does give you a whole different perspective. And so he gradually moved me into that real estate space. I joined bases, communities. We became sub 2 and Gator. And from there, I started wholesaling because I knew, again, this is something I can control on my time, right? And so I started wholesaling. I joined a team because I knew the importance of a team. And I ended up learning so much so quickly that I became the lead acquisitions manager for a team of over 70 plus wholesalers.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I loved it because I was on that front end of acquisitions where I was having those deeper conversations with sellers, with buyers, with agents. And so that experience really did develop a groundwork and foundation for me as to what I'm doing today. And so I did that for almost those 2 years, and wholesaled and loved it. Had, closed several deals from it, more than several, but just, I'm just here to share that experience really
Right.
led me to where I am today. And now my husband and I run a funding business. And we are super excited for where that is taking us today. But really, that's my journey. And boy, I tell you, it was up and down for a while, but now in the last couple of years, we have seen just a huge growth.
It's crazy you say that you were a primary education teacher, and I'm like, I have to bless you because young kids can be stressful.
Yes.
And so you have to be a special person that can, um, I don't say deal with other people's kids, but deal with other people's kids, right? And then, I think a lot of people that may be watching this might have had touch with somebody in their family or someone that they cared about having cancer. So it's nice to see that, you're one of the success stories. I can tell you that cancer has touched my family, and we unfortunately did not have the same
Mm.
result as you did. So I'm
Mhm.
grateful that you're still here.
Yes, thank you. I am too. Absolutely.
So wholesaling as a group, you're a teacher, and then you get into wholesaling. Did
Mhm.
you learn when you were part of the team, or did you educate yourself a little bit before joining the team? How did that come about?
Absolutely, yeah, because you can't just really just join a team and then become an acquisitions manager. So, right, I actually connected with one of the sub 2 students who his whole goal was to help wholesalers that are just starting out, so brand new, and really just guide them and hold their hand. It was a virtual group out in South Carolina. His name is Miles, so shout out to you, Miles. You know who you are. He actually helped me so much in my initial understanding of what is wholesaling. He helped me understand contracts. He helped me understand the sales side of it, right? In terms of talking to sellers and what those conversations look like. And so from start to finish, underwriting, basic underwriting, I learned from Miles, and that foundation is really what took me to my next level of wholesaling, which is, hey, I'm ready to join a team. I'm ready to contribute. And then while I was on that team, that's where I was just given the blessing and the opportunity to be a lead manager for that team.
Awesome. So, what would you say were the key skills that somebody who wants to start getting into wholesaling? What are some key skills they should have to start developing so that they can start seeing some success?
Absolutely. I would say number one, the most important skill is be teachable. Be open to learning what it is you still don't know, because I feel like a lot of times when we start anything new, Jose, what happens is we think, oh, we got this, or I've read that, or I've seen that on YouTube, university, so to speak, or and so just be teachable, be open, and find a mentor. Find someone who has done what you are looking to do. And then from there, learn from that mentor, like I did with Miles. He was my mentor for quite a while, and such a great coach and just such a great encourager. And so you want to find a mentor and join a team so that you can learn the overall process. Because as I joined that team, before I was elevated to acquisitions manager, I learned every component, not just of acquisitions, but what does dispo look like, right? And so as a new wholesaler, you want to learn every area of wholesaling that you can, right? And understand it, not just, the phone calls, but do you know the contracts, and do you understand, what the seller needs, and do you understand the different types of exit strategies that a buyer can acquire a property? There's just so many components. So
Right.
definitely, some of those are great starting points if you're looking to wholesale.
Awesome. I'm gonna kind of give you a layup here for a segue. So, when you're getting into wholesaling and you're entering into a transaction, you have to have at least some money or have a source of funding.
Yes.
How did you use it then? And how can you help people today?
Oh, great question. So after wholesaling, obviously, where we had developed enough capital of our own, from just deals that were closed, right, and assignment fees that I had received, my husband, Tim, actually decided that he was very interested in the lending or funding side of real estate. And where we come into play with that at Funds to Close is we can provide now, and we do provide for wholesalers or end buyers. We even work with brokers. We work just with anyone that's looking to fund a property. They need funds. So mainly we focus on double close funding or seller carryback funding, which is also familiar. Some are familiar with, Morby method. It's also called stack method, but there's so many names to that. But that's where we now provide the funding and help close that deal.
Awesome. You know, when I tell people that I'm a lender, they're like, "Are you the lender, or are you are you a broker?" I
Mhm.
basically I've built relationships, so I partner with people that have money. So
Yes.
I'll ask you that same question so people know: Are you considered a direct lender, or do you do both, where you're a lender as well as maybe partner with some people in a network to help um, fund deals?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have capital partners that we work with all the time to help fund deals. On the same aspect of it, we are part of a team, and we love our team because they are our immediate capital partners. They are who we go to when somebody comes with a double close request, or when somebody comes with a seller carryback, and they're ready to fund that. We work with that team. What we love about our team is they are all about transparency and upfront contract, right? Like, this is how this is going to work. And that's one of the expectations we set with any new borrower or client is, hey, we either want to jump on a phone call with you, we want to kind of go through our process, what those expectations look like, and or a Zoom is just as good, or something like this, a StreamYard. But we want to make sure that our borrower or our clients have a full understanding of our process, how it's going to work, and how we can help.
Awesome. As I'm dealing with other people that are asking for funds, and
Yes.
then you have a discussion with them about terms of borrowing money from me or from me and my team. how have What is your experience dealing with? Let's say dealing. That's a bad word. Let's see how I want to put this. How have you found it working with maybe some newer investors
Mhm.
who maybe focus on just making money without understanding the value that you bring?
Right. And, it's such an interesting question because I literally just had this on a Zoom prior to jumping in here with you.
Uh,
And I actually gave this scenario. I was like, hey, Mike, his name was Mike. Hey, Mike, have you ever um, gone on a flight where you had the opportunity to choose between economy or first class? Right. And he was like, oh, absolutely. And I said, well, so what you're looking for is when you are deciding which way you're going to go on that flight, right? You can see the benefits to both. Sometimes it's just the pricing. Sometimes it's where those seats are on the plane. Right. The accommodations that come with that, right? There's such a huge difference between economy and first class and what you get on that flight. And it's the same thing working with our team, right? We actually want to provide 100% value to our client first. However, that value comes from number one, experience in knowing how we operate and understanding that we already have systems and processes in place. We're not new to the game. And so that being said, the value that we bring, it reflects on our not just our processes, but also perhaps what that rate might be, right, depending on what they're looking for. And so there are people that are always going to shop around, right, Jose? They're always going to look for the best rate or the best value. And so we want our clients to know that there is I guess a purpose and a plan behind how we have it set up, and that is going to actually guarantee a close rate. Like on our seller carryback, we are 100% guaranteed that we're going to close that deal, right? And so with that being said, okay, so what are we providing to make sure that that's 100%, right? And so again, we are looking for those clients that have the experience, that have been doing real estate for a while. They are familiar with the process. They know my exit strategy. I get that. I understand that. And they're not so concerned and focused on that rate as much as they are, I need someone who can perform. And that's where we bring the value.
awesome. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, but I think you can handle this one.
I hope so.
So, we mentioned Morby method and stack method, which is, in
Right.
my opinion, more of an advanced strategy to use.
Yes.
And I don't know what type of clientele they'll be watching this. It could be a new person or somebody that's a more accredited investor. So, can you share with the audience how that transaction looks like? Because some people don't understand how that would be structured and how they could benefit from it.
Sure. I'll do my best on explaining probably the more basic part of it because there are so many layers to a seller carryback. And it could get quite messy is a good word that I like to use when I'm on the phone with somebody or on a Zoom with somebody. But I can tell you that one of the most important questions I ask up front, whether, first of all, have you ever done a seller carryback? Because I think that's important to know. And like you said, whether you are an experienced investor who's not going to be insulted by that question, oh, absolutely, I've done it many times, or an inexperienced investor that says, I've never really done one, but I believe this fits that criteria, right? And what I like to do is say, okay, so beyond that, do you even qualify then? Let's say, yeah, I'm ready to move forward. One of the most important questions I ask is, do you qualify for a DSCR loan, right? Do you have the credit score that's needed to qualify, right? And these are hard questions. And again, referencing the Zoom prior to this, Jose, I said some people are just embarrassed that maybe they don't qualify quite yet, or they may have to get what we call a credit sponsor to join them, right? Which is basically just saying, I'm working with this guy. He has the credit score that I don't have. He can qualify for that DSCR loan, right? So there's that, right? That just upfront. And they do need to know also that, hey, is that seller open to seller carryback? Like, are they open to a down payment? And then are they open to just receiving monthly payments, moving forward? And what does that look like? Because I can tell you as a previous wholesaler, Jose, I had sellers that were never open to that idea, right? They just wanted their cash up front and they just wanted to move on.
Right.
We just actually had that scenario happen with a potential seller carryback. However, the agent that I was talking to, she's local here in Phoenix, and she brought that deal to me and she said, "Oh, she goes, forget it. They want all cash up front. They want their full equity. They're not okay with a down payment and monthly terms." Right? And
Sure.
okay, so that's just not going to work for them, right? So even having that conversation, and then also, are you familiar with the contracts? Do you know is all you need are funding, right? Do you just need funding, or do you need us to hold your hand through the entire process, which we can do as well? And that's initially how I start that conversation about seller carryback. And of course, like I said, it can go much deeper than that. But I hope that answered your question.
It
So
did. I again, because you and I know each other, and
yeah,
how many conversations we've had about explaining SAC method. I figured I'd just have
yeah,
it documented right
yes,
here for people that are watching.
perfect.
Um, so you mentioned that you loved teaching when you before that was your passion.
Yes.
Have you been able to find a way to maybe marry that with what you're doing today, so that you kind of blend both your worlds?
Absolutely. And it's not in the school systems, it's actually at our church. We actually serve in kids ministry on a regular basis. And so we are working with third and fourth graders, which are they are so fun to work with. They are hysterical. They ask the best questions ever. And so we are still teaching just in a very different format. And it's amazing. So yeah, I love it because I still get to be around those kids. I still get to serve and love on those families and the kids in just a very different way.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So the name of the channel is Good, Bad, and Ugly about real estate. Would you
Okay.
mind sharing a good story that puts a smile on your face, and a story that was a nightmare, but you learned a lot from, that maybe the audience can benefit from as well?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with the bad
That's
first.
good. I don't
Okay.
care whichever order you want it in.
We're going to go with the bad. When I was a wholesaling, I don't know, some of you may know this name, but Caroline Kane was I was part of her team initially too, just kind of working through her leads. And it was such a blessing to be able to receive, free leads at the time, right? I wasn't paying for leads. And I'll never forget, we ended up getting a property under contract in Mesa, Arizona, where myself and another wholesaler, we were asked to go take photos of the inside. So we show up, we get to this property, and he's there. The owner is there. His mom lives there with him. We get in, and honestly, I was like, oh, this is going to be quick and easy. Very basic home that's in foreclosure. Kind of run down, those kind of things. For those of you who are wholesalers, you will understand that. Anyway, so I'm taking photos as my partner is talking to the seller, and I'm walking through the house. I get upstairs, get to the second floor, and I start opening bedroom doors or doors that I believe lead to bedrooms because I'm supposed to be taking those photos for Caroline. So I open one of the doors, and it was, I couldn't even tell you, like some kind of worship closet,
Okay.
but in a not so good way.
Yep.
Um, and I went, oh, so I take a photo of this, come back downstairs, we leave, we send the photos to Caroline, and we find out because there were bullet holes throughout the house as well. And I said,
Interesting.
did you notice the bullet holes as I'm
Hmm.
taking photos? Found out he is part of the mafia. That's all I got to say.
Oh,
So we were basically in the house when he was there. And I thought, I think we put ourselves in a very dangerous situation because you just never know who's
right.
going to stop by when you're there. But God protected us. Thank goodness we were fine. But that was, yeah, never doing that again.
Well, like
Yeah.
you said, you didn't know, right? So hopefully you never put yourself in that situation again.
Yeah, that was just not a good situation. And I learned so much from it though, because I learned, probably we should have hired somebody just to go in, right?
Right.
Somebody that's not connected to the team overall. So anyway, but okay, we were brave. We got through it. We did it. The good. Here goes the good. I can tell you, there's so many good stories that I have, but this one in particular, I can tell you that there is actually somebody that we connected with. She is a wholesaler. And she is someone who is genuinely the person that goes, hey, I know lots of people. So even if I'm just bringing you deals every once in a while for like EMD or anything else, she's such a go giver. And when I look at someone like that, all I can think of is, wow, she really doesn't care about her business as much as she does ours, right?
Right.
He has sent us referral after referral after referral. And even just yesterday, she sent us seven referrals.
Oh, wow.
And so all I can say is she's amazing, because when I share this, I share it to for others to remind ourselves, even, hey, always think of others first before yourself. And there will be so much good that comes from that when you do,
Right.
right? And there's just so many blessings that come from that. And so I'm so grateful for her.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So you shared with us wholesaling. You shared with us that you have a lending business, and
Yes.
I'm hoping that people related to you as they watch this. If
Mm.
somebody wanted to partner with you, or if somebody wanted to take advantage of the services of lending right now, or maybe just follow you on social media to see your journey as you keep progressing, how could they do that?
Absolutely. You can just go to Instagram and find Funds to Close. And that is our Instagram handle. Funds, the number 2, and then close, CLOSE. And message us on there. We'll be happy to get back to you as soon as we can.
That's awesome. Do you have any parting words for the audience? Some one last nugget, maybe?
I would say, if things happen in your life where they're hard, and just remember that there is always hope for any situation that you're in, right? Because I think right now life is hard for a lot of people, and so just know that there is a God who loves you, who cares for you, and He wants only good for you. So just keep pressing into that. Know that there's hope in any journey that you're on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's a great way to end the episode. Marcela, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I look forward to continue working with you and helping each other grow our businesses. To the audience, thank you for spending this time with us. I hope you learned as much as about wholesaling and funding as I did.
Yes.
And I look forward to you guys on the next episode. Until next time.
Thanks so much, Jose. Bye.